All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Georgian College students. Welcome, grads, faculty, and staff to this Pilot Career Pathways Panel podcast. If you're joining live today as part of our recording, you will have the opportunity to share some of your comments or questions. We'll be monitoring the chat and sharing that your comments and your questions with our panelists later. So please share in the chat for us so that we can look at that during our Q&A. Today's Career Pathways Panel podcast is an opportunity for you to be inspired during our time together by some of our Georgian grads. They're going to talk about the work that they're doing in their careers now, and as Georgian students, what they did to discover these pathways. I'm Sean Elliott. I'm one of the career consultants here and one of your hosts today. And I'm joined by my colleagues. And so, Rebecca, can you let us know your role and who else is hosting today's session?
Thanks, Sean. My name is Rebecca Kendall. I work as the Employment Resource Officer here on the Career Success team. I serve students across all 7 campuses in our Career Hub, which is our drop-in center to support students and grads with job searching. And I'm also a Georgian grad. I graduated from the Human Resources Management program back in 2018. So I have a couple of students from the peer mentor team, they're peer mentors that are joining us today. So I'll just pass it over to Nibras and Anushka to briefly introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. So we are peer mentors. My name is Nibras, and my fellow peer mentor here, Anushka, is also there with us. So we help students just engage in college life and get transitioned, help them out with resources that college provides, so to make their transition as easy as possible and help them out throughout the way.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right. So glad we could have our team here, our I guess you could say our hosts, our facilitators. And so let me begin by opening this up to our graduates so we can turn to our guest panelists who are all happen to be business management grads, but who also have landed careers with Co-operative. So we have with us today Nick Lovelock, who's a summer 2020, wow, can you believe that, 2020 grad, business administration grad, who's one of MCO's site managers in the Muskoka location. Tyler Benoit, the summer 22 business administration grad, and Devin Bowens, winter 2020 business diploma grad. So to get us started, folks, gentlemen, can each of you please introduce yourselves? Maybe just tell us what your current position is, what location you're at with your company. And if you could maybe share one hurdle that you've overcome recently, because everyone seems to think that you guys have everything all together, that you're just so perfect. And I just want to help say, no, we all have challenges, right? Now, I just want to make note that you're going to have a chance later to share how you got into your role and your connection with Georgian later. But if you could just start off with that, just to kind of get us started, give us a teaser, that'd be great. So how about if I get started with Nick, and then Nick, you can tag the next colleague.
Sure, sounds good. Sean, you can hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, we can hear you great, thanks.
Excellent. Hey guys, my name's Nick Lovelock. I'm the Profit Center Manager at our MCO Bracebridge location. You'll hear me say Profit Center because here at MCO we've got a strong culture, which is excellent. It's such a fantastic company who's got great values, great culture. But with that culture, we learned to say Profit Center rather than branch. So I've been with MCO for 7 years. It's been an excellent 7 years. Did the co-op program at Georgian College through the business administration. So I did 3 co-ops and I did them all with MCO. and they've been fantastic. So a little hurdle that we've experienced recently has certainly been keeping up with growth in our Muskoka market. We've been growing lots, and regardless of how the economy is doing, we've been able to see growth, which is fantastic. But to keep up with that growth, we find ourselves struggling. We have so much work, so much to do on a day-to-day, but certainly staying on top of new technology has been a huge priority. But yeah, big hurdle has been how to do more with less. Tyler, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Well, hello, guys. My name's Tyler Benwong. My current position here at MCO is I'm the outside account manager for MCO Barrie. One hurdle I've had to overcome recently was actually getting involved in this role. Throughout the last 3 years, I've worked at MCO. I've been in the warehouse. I've been on the counter. I've done some inside account management, but outside sales has been a big change of pace. A lot of what I was doing before was essentially providing world-class service to our existing and day-to-day customers. Although with this new role, it requires me to go outbound and attract new businesses and grow new relationships with new customers. The biggest hurdle with this was probably self-confidence and dealing with rejection off the start. At first, I felt like I wasn't gaining a lot of traction to where I wanted to be with new customers. And then the little wins started coming, and meetings became more meaningful. And then that's when the self-confidence started to grow and started becoming more strategic about how I wanted to go ahead with new meetings and stuff. Devin?
Hi, Devin Bowens. Been with MCO for 6 years now, started in April of 2019. I am a strategic development trainee, also in the same phase as Tyler, doing some outside sales while also balancing some purchasing and other administrative duties. I started with the co-op as well. I did 2 co-ops with MCO, was in the shorter business program, so I only had 2 to do. Hurdle I've had to overcome. I'm just doing outside sales part-time, so really balancing the schedule, not falling behind on other things while still maintaining the day-to-day. And it's an ongoing process for sure, but making small steps. I hope I work for Nick at the MCO in Bracebridge.
Excellent. Very, very good. Thanks for setting that context for us, gentlemen. So our second question, I'm going to turn over to Anushka, if you could pose that for our team here.
Yeah, so how did you guys know which job to choose? Like, did you go with the first opportunity that came your way, or did you wait to explore your options before making a decision? In other words, do you believe in taking what comes first or holding out for something that you really want?
Yeah, Anushka, I'll chime in on this one. So, in all honesty, personally, with my experience, when I chose my first co-op, I was driving to Barrie every day, so I was commuting to Barrie for school every single day. So I was looking at co-ops, and I looked at the options, and I was looking for the town. What town? Like, I want one in Bracebridge. I want a co-op in Bracebridge. So I was going through, and I found one co-op, and it was in Bracebridge. So I applied. I didn't even look at what it was. And you know what? It turns out that it was MCO. I've never heard of the company. I got an interview, and I did a lot of research on the company, figured out what the company does, how old they are, looked up all their core values before all my interview stuff, and I went in, and it was fantastic. And the profit center manager at the time proceeded with me, and I got a co-op out of it. It turns out that the co-op was excellent. So it was a bit of a fluke that I got in with this company and how I found them. But it turned out that it's just been such an excellent career company. And I'm glad I was able to see that it could have been a career right off the hop. I saw that company had a lot of structure and a lot of room for growth. So certainly waiting out for the right decision, the right co-op isn't necessarily always the best angle. For my case, I just jumped right into it and it's worked out. 7 years later, here I am. I've got a fantastic job. I'm able to support my family. I've got fantastic teammates. I work for such a great company, and thumbs up all around.
So take a chance is what you're saying.
It doesn't hurt, but a strategic chance. I was able to see that the company did have the structure, good room for growth. So it was quite evident right off the hop. So it was a very calculated chance.
Thank you. Tyler, Devin.
Yeah, I'll take the next one here. So at first, I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. When my first co-op came around, it was actually during the peak of COVID. So I knew people were either getting laid off or people weren't hiring or working remote. So that kind of stressed me out a bit. And I didn't think, people were going to want to hire someone on a co-op. So I stuck with my current employer at the time, which was McDonald's. I was a senior swing manager there, so they ended up giving me more or less a supervisor role. So I was able to learn more of the operations of McDonald's and stuff like that from a higher degree. And then when my second co-op came around, I noticed things started opening up, so I started applying to a few places. Initially, it was actually BMO and MCO. I interviewed with both of them, and I decided to pursue BMO at first, which ended up not really working out the way I wanted it to. So then when my third one came around, MCO gave me the opportunity, and yeah, it's been a great 4 years. And like Nick said, I work for a great company. There's endless opportunities for growth. So I would say don't always jump on your first one. Always explore other opportunities because you never know what values another company or opportunity might give you.
Yeah, so true. Devin, do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, my journey to MCO was a little unorthodox. I was similar to Nick that I was commuting from Bracebridge to Barrie every day. So I also was trying to find something in town. Ended up getting on with a web design guy that was just starting up a company. Locked it in like 3, 4 months before the co-op was supposed to start. And the week before, he fell victim to a banking scheme and went bankrupt. So I don't know if you remember, Sean, but I got a hold of you in panic on the Friday when I was supposed to start on the Monday, trying to work it all out because I didn't want to fall behind in school. And he's remembered that the summer before he had someone up in Bracebridge get on with this company, MCO, which happened to be Nick. So there was a mad scramble over the weekend, and I luckily was able to get my semesters moved around and started with MCO for the summer semester. So I personally did not stick with my first choice. I held out for something that obviously felt a lot better. But yep, good opportunities just kind of find you if you put the work in.
Isn't that cool? Like same company, but 3 different, right? Experiences around getting there.
Hey, Sean, I'd like to chime in again there. I see you've got a bit of time there. So it's funny with Devin's situation because I was working on my co-op at our Bracebridge location, and my PCM, my manager, came up to me with a resume and said, "Nick, do you know this guy?" And it said Devin Bowens in bold at the top. I said, "Yeah, I played basketball with him back in elementary school. Like we played on the Bracebridge Breakers." And he's like, "Is he a good guy?" I said, "He was fantastic back then. I don't think he can be much worse anymore." So lo and behold, he got hired, and here it came. But it's cool.
Was that
to
Scott?
see us. It was Scott, yeah, Scott Lillo.
Yeah.
He was
awesome. He would often call me and just say, hey, who have you got coming up? Who are some good candidates? But I remember he called me at that point and he said, actually, matter of fact, you know what, Sean? He goes, I got Nick to look at some of the resumes and he actually knows Devin. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Scott was a bit of the genesis of this Georgian and MCO. We can even call it a partnership, really.
Yeah.
But it's come out with a lot of positive stories. So a lot of
honor, a lot of honor and respect goes to Scott. And he's since passed away, folks. But he was a guy who I would say really had a big heart for Georgian, but also just wanting to see other people have opportunities. So I'm glad that came about that way. Sorry, didn't want to cut you off right off there, Nick, from anything else. But if you're good, then we'll go on to the third question. I'll turn it over to my colleague Nebras if you want to take the next question for our team.
Of course. Thank you so much, Sean. I wanted to say, in a recent survey that was conducted by Brainstorm Strategy, 53% of the students indicated that their co-op or internship increased their desire to work with that employer. So did your introduction maybe at MCO Corporation through a co-op work term impact your career prospects? Or what were some early challenges that you guys had to overcome at that time? Maybe we can, yeah.
Yeah. So, Nibraz, I'll chime in on this one first. So, for myself, when I first started at MCO, so what we do is we're a plumbing wholesaler. So I like to tell people I sell toilets. That's how I make a living. And really, we do sell toilets, but we also sell fittings and all this stuff for plumbing. But you think of that top again, it just seems like it's pretty boring topic. So going into MCO, I went in with low expectations and I came out with high results, because not only are we just selling fittings, it's a very entrepreneurial mindset. We're learning how to run a business from the absolute base, from buying product to moving product to selling it to collections to getting into legal stuff for money. Like you're going from A to Z on learning how to run a business. And I had no idea that's what I'd be getting into starting a co-op. But once I finished my first one, I realized like, wow, this company is endless. I have so much room to grow. So it's important to realize that. But a big hurdle for me was definitely, gaining interest in it. Plumbing parts isn't interesting, but the business side, absolutely. Tyler?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Nick there. When I first got the opportunity to work at MCO, I was under the assumption, it's just a co-op term, just so I don't fall behind school, etc. I didn't really have an interest in plumbing wholesale, but during the time I've spent at MCO, my mindset has completely changed. Like Nick said, the amount of business opportunities you get involved in, the amount of different aspects of the business that you have to learn and be good at, made me want to stay and really value the opportunity I had. Some of the early challenges were probably similar to Nick, finding the interest in the industry as well as product knowledge. Like there's thousands of different plumbing products and you kind of have to know all of them when you're in wholesale, because you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to deal with this situation or this situation? It's always different. There's never one solution.
Devin, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, like aside from, I mean, look at co-op as a whole, like the co-op program is what drew me to Georgian in the first place. I think the idea that you can do kind of a sample size tryout, if you want to call it, with a company is just an amazing idea. I always talk about it with, like, my grandpa had like 14, 15 different careers in his working life. And you can't really do that now with just the way jobs go about hiring and prior education and everything. So the idea that if you get 2-3 attempts to try out these different careers, you can learn what you like about some, dislike about others, and then approach your career post secondary, like after graduation, with knowing exactly what you're looking for in a job and can gear your application process directly to that.
Okay, that's a good experience, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it over to Sean now. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, this is great. This is good. And I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Rebecca here, just to see if we've got any questions that you may want to pose to our panelists. You can put them in the chat, folks. Rebecca also has some other questions that have been submitted from some of our peer mentors and other students. So I'll turn it over to Rebecca for this part of our time.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. So I do have a few other questions that have been submitted, but as Sean mentioned, if anyone else joining us today has any questions for our panelists, please include them in the chat box. All right, so I'll move on to another question here that we have that was submitted. Can you provide some reflections on what you went through when you got your co-op jobs at MCO and how you started your career there? After going through this, what tips would you share with existing students trying to figure out their career paths? So maybe we'll start with Tyler. We'll start with
Sure.
Tyler, and then if Tyler wants to tag the next person to answer.
So I guess in reflection wise, like when I first started my co-op at MCO, they told me about this strategic development program and everything like that. Once I started in the warehouse, learning all the plumbing stuff, and then moved into the counter, that's really where the kind of opportunity flipped for me, and I really gained a lot of interest. You get to work with some amazing business owners and our teammates as well, and just it really felt like the program I took at Georgian was starting to pay off in a way, I guess. Being more involved with the business and everything that I've learned so far. I guess some tips: always be open-minded. That's kind of how I went into each co-op. You don't have to don't feel pressured to jump on the first opportunity that comes up. And for me, it's always about the value you get out of the company you work for, not just salary-wise, but in terms of growth and potential. MCO was my no-brainer, at least.
Thanks, Tyler. Do you want to jump in, Devin?
Sure. I don't know, like reflection wise, from how I ended up here. Again, it was just kind of luck, and I'm grateful for that. But more so, I want to point out like how to approach your co-op is really just approach it with an open mind. Like you have this 4-month sample size to really learn a whole company or what could come out of it. It's a short span of time to learn a lot. So keep an open mind and ask questions. Like the worst thing they're going to do is not answer it. And that'll probably tell you more information than if they were to answer it. You kind of learn as you go.
Awesome. And then Nick, do you have any final thoughts about that question and any tips for the students listening?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do the classic Tyler and Devin covered it all, everything I was gonna say. But I think a few of the things Tyler and Devin both said on reflecting certainly hit home. Being open-minded. Thinking back, there's definitely a lot of hurdles with my career at MCO. But I always made sure I stayed as open-minded as I could and positive, like making sure you force yourself to be positive, because not every career has cherries on top and is sweet with sugar, and it's not always like that. So sometimes you have to grind it out and get to where you want to be. It doesn't happen like that. It might be 3 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years before you start feeling like you're compensated or you're happy with the career. But I mean, I'm not saying stick with a career that you don't like forever, because 25 years down the road, you might be like, wow, I should have changed careers. But give it a chance, especially if you see that the company has great structure, great teammates. Give it a chance. Don't be afraid to give it a chance. And Devin said something about asking questions. I love to say it. Devin and I say it all the time. Ask a question. Be bold. What's the worst thing that can happen? They say no. Walk away. Don't be afraid to be bold. Don't be afraid to ask a question. And Devin also mentioned about how you've got to get that sample size. So circling back to me saying how you don't just give up right away, stick it out, learn, ask questions, get that sample size, and then you can really judge it and say, hey, you know what, this company would be for me, or this company is not quite for me. So give it a chance, ask questions, get that sample size.
So what you're saying is you just got to turn the tap on?
I love it. I love it. Plumbing.
Awesome. Lots of great tips in there.
Sean's great. Sean's full of energy, positivity. He's always been fantastic and a great role model and leader for all three of us in our co-op. So Sean's fantastic. Thank you, Sean.
Oh, I didn't even pay him to say that.
The royalties are coming.
Okay.
That's awesome. I love what you said about being open-minded to what could come and grinding it out, working hard, asking questions, keeping that open mindset and positive attitude. I think those are great pointers for sure. We have a student that has a question. Hosai has her hand up. Hosai, did you want to ask your question?
Yes. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you very much for the opportunity to ask the question. I just wanted to ask, thank you to the guests, to the grads, alumni, to share all these wonderful information with us. I just want to ask them, how do you feel about starting your own business? In what you have acquired knowledge and experience? How confident are you that you're going to be successful if you start something of your own?
I'll take the lead on this one. One thing I really value at MCO is they truly make you act as an owner. Everything you do, everything you say results on the business. In Nick's case, for example, kind of going out on your own, like Nick is the profit center manager of MCO Bracebridge. So he is pretty much solely responsible for the operation excellence as well as the profitability of that location. And make sure he's hiring the right candidates and the right teammates to reach those goals and targets that he has set.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the answer. Thank you.
I could add into that one too. So at MCO, we go through a strategic development program. We go from warehouse to counter to inside sales to outside sales. So you learn every aspect of the business to collections and getting money to paying bills and buying stuff. So you're doing everything. And with our company, I can with 100% confidence say that, and don't do it, Devin, but if you were to go out tomorrow and open up your own business, you would be 100% successful. And Tyler, if you were to go out tomorrow and open up your own business, you would be 100% successful. But don't do it. You're staying with MCO. But MCO has given us the ability to be able to run our own business. And that's what we already do. We run our own business here.
Awesome. So I've got another question that's come in as well, and I'll move on to that question. Did you have a plan B in case things didn't go as expected after graduation? I'm curious, did you go about creating a backup plan or exploring alternative paths just in case your original plans didn't work out? So did any of you have a backup plan? And if so, what did that look like?
For me, honestly, I didn't have a backup plan. I was kind of just going with the flow. If MCO didn't work out, let's say, I would have stayed where I was working before, and just would have waited for the time to come, would have continued to seek, other opportunities. And the biggest thing for me is which company provides me with the most value, which company, challenges me to grow. And if MCO didn't work out, that's kind of what my game plan was, to keep trying to find that.
Yeah, more of the same for me. I had absolutely no backup plan. In my interview, even to apply for the co-op, it was outlined very well, like the opportunity you have and how much MCO focuses on co-ops, and then the strategic development program that Nick was talking about and building. Like as soon as you get hired, you start learning right away. So the opportunity was endless pretty much. It never even occurred to me to think about what else there could be. I was sold right from the interview.
Yeah,
Nick,
and
what about you?
yeah, for myself, I did have a backup plan. So, but I wouldn't have if it weren't for MCO. So early on with MCO, I learned that you must have goals. You must have personal goals. You must have professional goals as well, whether it be a 1-year goal, 3-year, and 5-year goal. So kind of short, middle, long-term goals. You have to have goals, and that's one of the biggest motivators. And if you're at your 3-year and you're not even close to what your 5-year goal is, then maybe it's time to reconsider. Maybe it's time to figure out where you need to pivot and take your next steps. For me, yeah, I had a backup plan, and in fact, it was to be a plumber, get on the tools, and start a plumbing apprenticeship. But I wouldn't have known that unless I started at MCO. So it was kind of interesting. But things turned. I hit that point where I pivoted. I spoke up. I asked questions, and I said, "Hey, you know what? I'm bored. I want to do something else." And my PCM said, "Okay, we're going to shift. We're going to put you in a different place in the business." And my interest grew again, and here we go. So it's never ending. Always speak up. But yeah, I did have a plan B for sure.
So you can kind of go with the flow, right? There's that. But, when you join companies like MCO and a great team like this, they really put the pressure on.
Do you write
I'm
all these
hearing
down
a-
beforehand?
I'm hearing a lot. Nick's talking a lot about the opportunities to speak up and to ask questions, and I think that's so valuable to have that workplace where you're comfortable doing that and knowing that you'll be heard and valued and to share your insights. So I think that's great that you're encouraging students to do that as well, to speak up and to take initiative and to really advocate for themselves as well. All right, and as Sean said, if anyone has any other questions, please put them in the chat box. Or if our peer mentors think of any other questions as well, you can put those in the chat, or we can ask some of those. In the meantime, I'll move on to another question. So another question for everybody. Did you take any external certifications or learn any additional skill sets outside of what was taught at Georgian? And if so, what motivated you to do that? Devin? Looks like you might.
I don't have any, unfortunately.
Okay, what about Tyler or?
For me, like external certifications, I have like CPR training and like food handlers stuff, but that was also stuff I had before MCO. One thing I will say is a new skill set I learned was the value of selling and how to really provide value when you're trying to approach new businesses and everything. MCO is really adamant on their value proposition, and it's definitely made me into a better salesman today for sure.
Did all of you need to have your driver's license to join MCO when you originally started?
I don't think it was a requirement. Obviously, it's probably a preference, but
Yeah, Sean,
Yeah.
when I do hiring, I make it mandatory that you must have your full G license. So it is a requirement. And Rebecca, I guess to answer that question, since I'm talking right here, yeah, I have got no external certifications outside of Georgian College that pertain to this job or anything. Really, I think all three of us were quite lucky to have come across this company where any extra knowledge that we need is provided, and if it's not, can be provided from or through this company. So if we do need to go off and do some extra certifications or any extra education that's going to positively impact the business, MCO is going to help out. So I think we're all just quite fortunate that yeah, we haven't had to do anything else.
Awesome. So you got the training that you needed ahead of time, and on the job, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities that you provide to ensure that the employees have the knowledge and skills that they need to keep growing within the company as well. So that's awesome.
Yeah, Georgian covered it all for us. Great.
Awesome. All right, so I will move on to another question that was submitted. How did you prepare for your interviews? Were there any commonly asked questions that you think we should be confident of answering by now? So we being students, are there any commonly asked interview questions that you feel students should be familiar with? And how did you prepare for your interviews with MCO? And just your interviews in general that you went through as you were applying for co-op.
I'll take the lead on this one, I guess. So I guess for preparation wise, my biggest thing was, doing your research on the company you're applying for, especially if you have an interview. Kind of gives you what MCO would say a competitive advantage. If you know a bit more about their company, you can kind of highlight areas of that business that you can excel at. And then same thing during the interview. If you know what that business is doing, you can kind of cater your skill set when you're going through the interview process to highlight those key areas that you're good at that align with their business as well. In terms of commonly asked questions, a lot of them, the ones I had were they were all different fields of business, like working in food with McDonald's, and then working in the financial industry with BMO, and then in plumbing wholesale with MCO. I don't think there was anything much that was an occurrence, I would say, or reoccurrence. Every business is going to ask you different questions that aligns with their business. So be prepared for everything.
Yeah, to add on to that, definitely you want to understand what the company is in today's day and age. All the information's out there. You stand out when you look like you're interested when you can follow along when they're talking about the company itself. If you're in an interview and you just are clearly lost, you don't resonate with the person interviewing. And I'm sure Nick probably has some more to add, as he's done a fair amount of interviewing in his new position. But definitely want to put in a little bit of work beforehand to understand the company, so you can at least talk in the same kind of language that they would use.
Research is key for everybody listening.
Yeah, research is the biggest one. So when we're doing interviews here, and Devin's actually done a bunch of phone screening interviews and stuff for MCO Bracebridge as well. Exactly what he said. If we get on the phone and we start asking, like, hey, what do you know about MCO? And they say, like, you guys, I don't know, like, don't you sell toilets or something? It's like, you really didn't look into the company at all. You have no idea what we do. So are you actually serious, or are you just applying for the sake of applying? So, like, right off the hop, my interest in that candidate gone. it's very, very hard for me to regain interest after I know that they haven't put in their efforts. So I think that's the biggest thing. If you can do research, know what the company does, know some history, some facts, the values, all that, and understand what the company is, that's going to give you a huge lead. Huge. I'd say that most of your answers to other questions in an interview, I wouldn't say they're not important, but if you can do the wow factor and have the company information, it'll set you ahead for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick.
I have one more thing to chime in on the interviews as well. Make sure to ask questions. Questions will tell you, what value that opportunity will provide for you, and so much more. So just make sure you prepare some questions, even if it's like 2 or 3, and make sure you to vocalize those.
Thanks, Tyler. I think that's important for students and grads to hear, because oftentimes we're so focused on answering the interview questions that we don't think about the questions that we want to ask at the end, and those are really key as well, and to stand out and to demonstrate your interest and that you've done your research. So that's great. All
These
right.
are some really good points. And yeah, I don't know. And Anushka, Nimras, do you have anything else that has come to mind, or anyone else here?
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking about when you mentioned the interview questions. I guess a lot of the times interviewers ask you at the end, do you have any questions for me? And so do you have any examples of that, or would you just examples of questions you would ask an employer,
What's your company's 5-year plan, let's say, or 2-year plan, whatever it is. I know Nick mentioned earlier about having those goals in mind, 2, 3-year, 5-year, whatever it is. You can always ask that, and you can even ask them, if I were hired for this role, what would be my personal 5-year plan within this role, etc. Stuff like that. At least it gives you a context of what their game plan is with bringing you on the team, and kind of how the business operates growth wise with new teammates.
Yeah, and just expectations of your role.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
if you think about it, it's like, you're getting your opportunity to interview the company as well. And if you don't get another opportunity before the offer has been extended, use that time to also try to explore what kind of important things do you need to know that's a deal breaker for you in case the offer of employment does come.
Yeah, Sean, I agree with you on that one. After an interview's done, I ask the candidate, hey, do you have any questions for me? Anything. I'm an open book. Just ask. I'm not here to judge you on this. Just ask me questions, because I like to tell them that as much as we need the candidate to be a good fit for the company, we need the company to also be a good fit for you. Because if the company's not a good fit for you, you're not going to be motivated, and you're not going to like your job. So it's super important and critical that you ask those questions, and go in prepared with questions. If you're doing interviews, write some down. If you go in with a pen and paper, you're taking notes in an interview, that's not a rude thing. You're writing stuff down. That's fantastic.
And as far as sample questions go, Nick, I know it's one that you've mentioned before, but when you're trying to get an understand of what the company is, it's something that you've mentioned to me. Good question to ask. What's the worst part of the job, in your opinion? And what's the best part of the job, in your opinion? And then it really gives you a wide range to understand everything that's encompassed in that job.
Yeah, I like that one. What's your least favorite thing you do every day? That's a tough question, but it's a good one.
Well, this has been absolutely incredible, and I'm sure we could spend lots more time digging into each of your career pathways and what you've learned through this experience, going through your school program, your diploma that you completed at Georgian, and then how that has led into your career. And I'm sure that in some ways you'd probably look back and go, yeah, you know what, I probably would, build on that course that I took a little bit more, or I would expand this. And I'm sure there's lots of ideas. Matter of fact, I have to also give thanks to your vice president, Tom Newell, who through this process and through Scott, people like that that we worked with in the past, they continued to contribute to the way that we handled things at Georgian, and even some of the things, the feedback that we gave to some of the professors in the business management school. So this has been absolutely incredible to have this dialogue, to have this discussion, and so now as we approach the end of our time together for this career pathways discussion, I just would really like to express our thankfulness and gratitude to you, your amazing panelists. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Tyler. For you to give up an hour of your important workday when you've got a lot going on to share about your career pathways with Georgian students is so valuable. It's so honorable. Thank you for giving back. There are so many things that, yeah, I wish we had time to unpack further. So on behalf of Career Success team at Georgian College, I want you to know, folks, that there are many resources and supports that are available to help you, okay, to build your career pathway. So I want to encourage you to, use our resources, especially while you're a student. And yes, you can continue accessing some of these when you graduate, but it's so much more valuable when you can use this now. So I just wanted to share a little bit of an encouragement from some of our job search coaches about how to access our supports. So just hang on a second here. I just want to share this with you. And let me just turn that over to our screen now. We'll turn this on here.
Hi Grizzlies, welcome to the Georgian College community. Our career services is here to help you with your job search journey here in Canada.
And guess what? You can access our services after 2 years after graduation.
Now that is awesome. So let's dive into some of our services.
At the Career Hub, we offer walk-in services to assist with resume cover letter revision, interview preparation, job search strategies, networking tips. We are here to support you every step of the way.
We are open Monday to Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. in M204 of the Barrie campus. Attending another campus? No problem. Book a virtual appointment with the Career Hub instead. Have questions? Email us at gccareerhub@georgiancollege.ca.
Feeling uncertain about your career path? We got you. Our career consultants are here to support you with personalized career counseling and guidance.
Connect with a career consultant to discuss program options, career paths after graduation, to explore completing career assessments, and for customized job searching support.
Did you know that you can also access our resources online anytime? My GC Life has got you covered. Whether you want to build your resume, LinkedIn profile, or want to practice your interview skills, here is how to access our resources. You can use Navigate 360 to book a virtual appointment with the Career Hub or in-person or virtual career consultant appointment, here's how.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for events, tips, and more at Georgian College Co-op Careers. Welcome to Georgian College and see you soon.
So we can help you, students, with any of your needs with your job search, your career plans, your interviewing, any of those kinds of things. So come see us in the Career Hub at the Barrie campus from 9:30 to 3:30 Monday to Friday. And if you're at another campus or if you need remote service, please email us at gccareerhub@georgiancollege.ca. If you'd like more dedicated time with a career consultant, please book a time on Navigate 360. So now over to our peer mentors.
We just wanted to say thanks to Nick, Tyler, and Devon again. And also that we wanted to remind all students that peer mentors are here for you, whether you need help navigating your classes or finding campus resources or just talking to someone, we've got your back. You don't have to, sorry, over to Nebraska.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much, Anushka. And once again, thank you everyone for having the peer mentors in this as well. So we just wanted to say you don't have to figure out college life on your own. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. We're here to support everyone. So always welcome to reach out, come to our drop-in space. Everyone's welcome there. And you can also help join in events as well. So we'd love to connect with everyone. So until next time, for everyone, take care of yourself and just remember, we're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, for participating. Thank you, panelists, Tyler, Devon, Nick. Thank you, peer mentors, and as well, thank you, my host, Rebecca, for putting all this together. Please stay tuned to see some of other events and things that we have coming up through Career Success. But until next time, have a great day, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.